Our day started here, at a place called Agawa Rock in Lake Superior Provincial Park, a beautiful park in Ontario, Canada. Before coming here, I knew little about this part of Ontario, along Lake Superior, but have since done my research. Historically, before European settlement in this part of North America, this was largely Ojibwe territory. Lots of places are named in the Ojibwe language, a large Ojibwe population still lives in the Great Lakes area, and there are plenty of historical sites connected to the Ojibwe, like this one we're at now. The pictographs themselves on Agawa Rock aren't that old relatively. Some date them back 400 years, but it's hard to tell since they aren't engraved in the rock and are instead painted using red ochre. However, the actual rock that the paintings are on was used as a spiritual site of prayer for much longer, possibly 2,000 years. The rock was along traditional canoe routes, so the Ojibwe would stop here to pray or give offerings for safe passage. The most iconic pictograph on the rock is of Mishipeshu, a creature in Ojibwe folklore that controls the Great Lakes and can create storms. He looks pretty cool. This is a short excerpt from the novel Tracks by Louise Erdrich about Mishipeshu. Mishipeshu, the waterman, the monster. He's a devil, that one. Our mothers warn us that we'll think he's handsome, for he appears with green eyes, copper skin, a mouth tender as a child's. But if you fall into his arms, he sprouts horns, fangs, claws, fins. His feet are joined as one, and his skin, brass scales, rings to the touch. You're fascinated. Cannot move. He casts a shell necklace at your feet, weeps gleaming chips that harden into mica on your breasts. He holds you under. Then he takes the body of a lion, a fat brown worm, or a familiar man. He's made of gold. He's made of beach moss. He's a thing of dry foam, a thing of death by drowning. The death of a Chippewa cannot survive. Even without knowing the significance of the area, I could feel a strong aura emanating from Lake Superior. The beautiful hills, the exposed rocks from the Canadian Shield, strong winds blowing out from the lake. It's also such an undeveloped area, as much of Canada outside its very densely urbanized centers is. Undisturbed, lovely nature. Which I'm sure is nothing novel to hear if you're Canadian. But I'm not. I've only been living in Canada for less than a year at this point. So it's all new and fascinating to me. Going southwards towards Toronto from Ottawa, the capital of Canada, you have lots of industrialized, populated cities. But if you head just west or northwest from Ottawa, you've got just about nothing, besides Sudbury and Thunder Bay, respectively ranking 11th and 15th most populated cities in the province, which isn't saying much. So, from Agawa Rock, we headed to our next destination, another popular area in Lake Superior Provincial Park, Old Woman Bay. It's called Old Woman Bay because one of the cliffs around it looks like an old woman's face. Okay, so there's more behind the name Old Woman Bay than just the face. Across the road from the bay, there's a trail called Nokomis Trail. Nokomis is the name of the old woman. It is part of another story in Ojibwe folklore. She is said to watch over travelers in Lake Superior, giving safe passage. Nokomis is usually spoken in connection with her grandson, Nana Bojo. Nana Bojo is a really important character that comes up in a lot of stories. He's a trickster type character that can shapeshift into different animals. But he's also the creator of the world and taught humans how to create fire, language, and medicine. And the old woman Nokomis raised him after his mom died. This is a short summary of the Great Flood story from the Mishomis book by Edward Benton Banai. One day, a great flood came upon the earth. The animals tried one by one to dive down to get the earth from beneath the waters. Beaver tried and failed. Otter tried and failed. Then little muskrat tried. He stayed under the water a long time, and when he finally came up, he was dead. But he held some earth in his paw. Nana Bojo took that bit of earth and placed it on the turtle's back. Then, with the help of the four winds, the earth grew and grew until it became what we know now as Turtle Island. The full story of the Great Flood is much longer than that, and there are lots of different versions since it, like many other Indian stories, were passed down orally through generations. You can find the Mishomis book by Edward Benton Banai pretty easily online. I like his version, and it has cute pictures to go along with it. And so we left from Lake Superior Provincial Park, driving further northwest through Ontario. Just to get to Lake Superior yesterday, we had to drive about 10 hours from Ottawa, and on our way, we passed a handful of small towns, one of which stood out to me quite a bit because of its name, a town called Spanish. Actually, several places in the area share a similar name, a town called Spanish, the Spanish River, and a town called Española. Now, the origin of the name is debated, but the most recurring and interesting tale I've heard of it is involving yet again the Ojibwe, and this time Europeans too. Now, Spaniards never colonized or explored anywhere near the Great Lakes. It was mostly the French that did, and they named these areas. But through time, the names Spanish, Española got anglicized. So basically, the story goes, during the mid-18th century, French explorers were traveling the area when they came upon a group of natives speaking Spanish, and a Spanish-speaking European woman. The woman had been captured by the Ojibwe during a raid far south in Spanish territory, and brought all the way back up north. Again, it's hard to find reliable sources for this, but one I found was the book Place Names of Ontario by Alan Rayburn. And it reminded me of other white people who were captured by Indians and lived their lives among them. Herman Lehman's story is a fascinating one. He was captured by the Apache as a kid at 10 years old, and later joined the Comanche, before eventually reuniting with his family when he was about 19. Okay, but that's a story from all the way south in Texas. Let's get back to Ontario now. The clips I was showing on screen a bit earlier were of Pukaskwa National Park, another amazing park along Lake Superior that we visited. The park actually protects a part of the largest undeveloped shoreline anywhere, not only along Lake Superior, but the Great Lakes in general. We only spent a few hours in the park, but during our brief time there, we saw some cool stuff.
It's like a hunting spider.
Where is it?
Right in that hole.
After leaving Pukaskwa, we got back on the Trans-Canada Highway, headed further towards Thunder Bay, making random stops in small towns along the way.
Prime Rib. gonna try to go to Tony Romer's for prime rib, and then why would you go to Montana? It's all you could eat. No, there's no prime rib there. Oh, not prime rib. Because they ate off the happy hour menu.
It was definitely like a bootleg knockoff KFC.
And it was advertised everywhere on big signs. It makes absolutely no sense. It was horrid.
We're in Terrace Bay right now. This is super cool.